Robert "Rob" Terry is a Welsh professional wrestler and bodybuilder. He is best known for working in Total Nonstop Action Wrestling under the ring names Rob Terry and The Freak. He also worked TNA's developmental territory Ohio Valley Wrestling, where he is a former two-time heavyweight champion and a one-time Southern Tag Team and Television champion. Before signing with TNA, he was under contract with World Wrestling Entertainment and competed in the company's developmental territory, Florida Championship Wrestling. Early life: Terry was born in Swansea, Wales, United Kingdom. He is a former bouncer and studied sports science at Newport Talbot College, South Wales. Professional wrestling career = World Wrestling Entertainment = Florida Championship Wrestling. Terry signed a developmental contract with World Wrestling Entertainment in 2007 and was assigned to Florida Championship Wrestling. On November 10, Terry, under the ring name Big Rob, debuted as Nick Nemeth's bodyguard and accompanied Nemeth to the ring for his matches. On December 1, Big Rob made his in-ring debut as he and Nemeth defeated Robert Anthony and Brian Kelly in a tag team match. In December 2007 and January 2008, Terry appeared at several WWE television program tapings, accompanying Nemeth to the ring for dark matches. On January 12, Big Rob teamed with Nick Nemeth in a losing effort to Mighty Mikey and Matt O'Neill. 3 days later, Rob and Nemeth lost to Mikey and O'Neill in a rematch. In August 2008, Terry was released from his WWE developmental contract. According to Chris Jericho's autobiography, he wanted Terry to be his protege when he started his heel run in 2008. However, Terry was released and the role was given to Lance Cade. Total Nonstop Action Wrestling The British Invasion. On the April 30, 2009 edition of TNA Impact, Terry made his Total Nonstop Action Wrestling debut as a member of the newly formed stable known as the British Invasion alongside Doug Williams and Brutus Magnus. Their first act was to attack Hernandez, thus writing him out of storylines until he recovered from a legitimate injury. They claimed Hernandez's Feast or Fire briefcase, awarding it to Terry. This implied that Terry could demand a match for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship at any time within the remainder of the calendar year, but no formal announcement was made. Since then, Terry had played a minor role, usually performing run-ins on behalf of his teammates. They attacked Team 3D, instigating a feud that led to several matches, mainly without Terry. In July, Terry, Magnus and Williams joined Eric Young, Sheikh Abdul-Bashir, Kiyoshi and Homicide to form World Elite. World Elite then formed an alliance with the Main Event Mafia, which led to Terry teaming with such wrestlers as Booker T and Scott Steiner. Together, they feuded with Beer Money, Incorporated and Team 3D. Terry faced Hernandez at Hard Justice for the Feast or Fire briefcase, but lost in 9 seconds. This initiated a story in which Terry fell out of favor with his allies. Terry would make a series of mistakes, or would fall victim to a teammate's mistake, and cost the Main Event Mafia or World Elite a match. Initially, World Elite defended their team member and broke their alliance with Main Event Mafia, which dissolved soon thereafter. But the remainder of World Elite would berate Terry for costing them further victories. Eric Young mistakenly hit Terry with a title belt on the November 5, 2009 episode of TNA Impact. 1 week later, Terry tried to interfere in a match, but accidentally caused World Elite to lose. The members of the team were upset with him for causing the loss. On October 18, 2009, at Bound for Glory, Magnus and Williams took part in a 4-way Full Metal Mayhem match for the TNA World Tag Team Championship and the IWGP Tag Team Championship. While the British Invasion lost the IWGP titles to Team 3D, they won the TNA titles from the Main Event Mafia, when Terry interfered in the match. As a result of this match, a feud between Beer Money, Incorporated and the British Invasion was reignited. The entire World Elite stable conspired to prevent Beer Money, Incorporated from winning the titles, usually by getting themselves disqualified. Terry objected to the plot, believing that British Invasion could legitimately beat Beer Money, Incorporated in a clean match. His confidence irked his teammates further. For one episode of Impact, Mick Foley offered Kevin Nash full control. Nash subsequently booked the entire show to benefit himself and the World Elite members. Terry, Williams and Magnus faced Chris Sabin in a handicap match, but still lost very quickly, when Sabin pinned Terry. While Magnus and Williams berated Terry, Terry gestured that he was going to fight back, but he quickly dropped his resistance. At Final Resolution, Terry and the rest of World Elite, with the exception of Magnus and Williams, took part in the Feast or Fired match. Young claimed that their aim was to prevent Beer Money from earning another match for British Invasion's TNA World Tag Team Championship. During the match, Bashir and Nash acquired a briefcase each. Terry assumed that if World Elite claimed all 4 briefcases, then it would be impossible for James Storm and Robert Roode to win a title match. But when Terry grabbed a briefcase, Young, Kiyoshi and Homicide reacted as if Terry had betrayed the team. After the match, it was revealed that Terry had the briefcase containing a shot at the X Division Championship. Global Champion. Immortal. On January 27, 2010, Terry defeated Eric Young at a house show in Cardiff, Wales, to win the TNA Global Championship. Terry's win also made him the first Welshman to hold a championship in a major wrestling organization. On the following night's edition of Impact, the British Invasion attacked Amazing Red, but as Terry went to cash in his Feast or Fired contract, he was ordered by Magnus to hand it over to Williams, who then instead faced Red and quickly defeated him for the X Division Championship. On the February 18 edition of Impact, Terry finally grew tired of Magnus' abuse and attacked him, thus ending his alliance with the British Invasion and turning face. On the February 25 edition of Impact, Terry made his first Global Championship title defense, when he defeated Mr. Anderson, after interference from Kurt Angle. Since then, Terry went on to defend the Global Championship in quick squash matches against his former British Invasion teammate Doug Williams, as well as Magnus at Destination X. The very next day on Impact, Terry squashed Tumko in a title defense which lasted 65 seconds. On the April 5 edition of Impact, Terry adopted the nickname The Freak. On the April 19 edition of Impact, Terry joined Team Hogan and teamed with Abyss, Jeff Jarrett and Samoa Joe to defeat Team Flair in an 8-man tag team match. During this time, Terry was being billed as an unstoppable monster and was asked to take an unprotected chair shot to the head during a match with Homicide. Several wrestling news outlets reported on the shot, which caused Terry to legitimately bleed heavily. The Wrestling Observer Online called the shot completely disgusting and unnecessary. Later, he started a feud with the newcomer Orlando Jordan. After weeks of stalking Terry, Jordan debuted his new interview segment, O-Zone, on the May 3 edition of Impact, during which he attacked Terry. On the next edition of Impact, Jordan attacked Terry with a lead pipe, when he was getting ready to defend his title against Abyss. At Sacrifice, Terry defeated Jordan to retain the Global Championship. On June 20, Terry became the longest reigning Global Champion in history by beating Booker T's reign of 143 days as champion. On July 13 at the tapings of the July 22 edition of Impact, Terry lost the Global Championship to AJ Styles, ending his reign at 167 days. Terry received a rematch for the title, now renamed the TNA Television Championship, on the August 5 edition of Impact, but was defeated after a low blow. On the December 16 edition of Impact, Terry turned heel, when he cost Mr. Anderson and Matt Morgan their match against Jeff Hardy and Kazarian. The following week he was officially hired by Ric Flair to serve as the bodyguard of Fortune. On February 13, 2011, at Against All Odds, Terry wrestled his first pay-per-view match in 7 months, when he teamed with his Immortal stablemates Gunner and Murphy and faced James Storm, Robert Roode and Scott Steiner in a losing effort. Terry then began feuding with Steiner, attacking him on the February 24 edition of Impact. During a post-down between the two, the following week Steiner defeated Terry in a singles match to end the feud. 2 weeks later, Terry was given an opportunity to regain the vacated TNA Television Championship in an Alla Euro Immortal 3 Euro Way match, which also included Murphy and Gunner, who would ultimately go on to win the title. On the April 21 edition of Impact, Terry and Murphy unsuccessfully challenged Beer Money, Incorporated for the TNA World Tag Team Championship in a steel cage match. On the May 5 edition of Impact, Terry was kicked out of Immortal, despite defeating Murphy in a loser leaves Immortal match, teaming and feuding with Robbie E. On the June 30 edition of Impact Wrestling, Terry returned, as a face, for the first time since being exiled from Immortal to save his former British Invasion partners, Magnus and Douglas Williams, from a beatdown by Mexican America. Terry made appearances beside Magnus and Williams for the next 2 weeks, after which his reunion with the two was abruptly forgotten. On the August 25 edition of Impact Wrestling, Robbie E proposed Terry an alliance between two, with Terry promising to think it over. At the tapings of the September 8 edition of Impact Wrestling, Terry attacked Eric Young after his match with Robbie E, signifying a new alliance between the two and another heel turn for Terry. Terry's and Robbie's feud with Young eventually led to a tag team match on the November 10 edition of Impact Wrestling, where Young teamed with Jersey Shore cast member Ronnie to defeat Terry and Robbie. On December 16, 2011, at Asistencia Laos Asura AY Administratia Cuben's Guerra de Titans, as part of the TNA Invasion storyline, Terry faced El Mesa as in a match to earn a shot at the AAA World Heavyweight Championship, but was unsuccessful. In May 2012, Terry returned where he, along with Robbie E., began feuding with Devon over the TNA Television Championship, with each of them successfully him for the title in singles matches on Impact Wrestling and finally in a three-way match on May 13 at Sacrifice. The Robbies would continue their feud with Devon by attacking him during his title matches. On June 10 at Slammiversary, the Robbies were defeated by Devon and Garrett Biscoff in a tag team match. While continuing to work for OVW, Terry also remained a regular on TNA's programming and on the October 25 episode of Impact Wrestling, unsuccessfully challenged Samoa Joe for the TNA Television Championship. Going into 2013, tension began to be teased between the Robbies, with Terry constantly upstaging and defying Robbie E. On the February 28 episode of Impact Wrestling, the alliance between the Robbies ended with Robbie E., who was pretending to reconcile with Terry, hitting him over the head with his VIP sign before being chased off by Terry. The rivalry culminated in a singles match on March 10 at Lockdown, where Terry emerged victorious. On the following episode of Impact Wrestling from Chicago, Illinois, Terry defeated Robbie E in a rematch to end the feud. On the May 2 edition of Impact Wrestling, Terry defeated Robbie E., Jesse and Joey Ryan in a 3-on-1 handicap match. On January 12, 2013, Terry took part in Joker's Wild, teaming with Matt Morgan in a first-round victory over Joey Ryan and Al Snow. Later in the night during the main event $100,000 Battle Royal, Terry entered 11 of 12 but was eliminated by Matt Morgan 8 of 11. On the June 13 edition of Impact Wrestling, Terry competed in a four-way qualifying match for the Bound for Glory series, against Matt Morgan, Kenny King and Magnus, who ended up getting the victory. Ohio Valley Wrestling, on December 6, 2011, it was reported that Terry had been sent to TNA's new developmental territory, Ohio Valley Wrestling. On January 18, 2012, Terry made his debut in OVW as a member of the heel stable the Mascaf Knife family by attacking Jason Wayne during his OVW Heavyweight Championship match with Rudy Switchblade, thereby disqualifying Switchblade and letting him retain his title. After the match ended, an irate and spent Jason Wayne re-entered the ring and called out Terry for interfering in his match. Terry returned to the ring and defeated Wayne in a bonus match after a quick beatdown. On February 22, Terry and Jesse Godderz defeated Jason Wayne and Shiloh Johns for the OVW Southern Tag Team Championship. The team's reign ended on April 7, when Godderz and Rudy Switchblade, who was also recognized as part of the champions under the family rule, were defeated by Anarquia and Raul LaMotta. After supposedly defeating stablemate Muhammad Ali Vaz on April 21 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil for the OVW Television Championship, and losing the title back to him 4 days later, Terry defeated Johnny Spade on May 12 at OVW's Saturday Night Special event to win the OVW Heavyweight Championship. Terry was stripped of the title on June 27. On December 1, Terry defeated Crimson to regain the OVW Heavyweight Championship. On January 30, 2013, Terry lost the title to Doug Williams. On June 19, 2013, Terry defeated Jay Bradley in a number 1 contenders match for the OVW Heavyweight Championship. On July 6, 2013, at the Saturday Night Special, Terry was defeated by Jimena Livencia in a match for the OVW Heavyweight Championship. Terry joined forces with Marcus Anthony, winning the 2013 Nightmare Cup Tag Team Tournament and earning a shot for OVW Southern Tag Team Championships. Wrestle 1 and the Menagerie. As part of a working relationship between TNA and Wrestle 1, it was announced on November 6, 2013, that Terry would be working a tour for the Japanese promotion between November 16 and December 1. In their debut match for the promotion, Terry and fellow TNA worker Jay Bradley defeated Kaz Hayashi and Shuji Kondo in a tag team match. Terry remained undefeated for the entire tour, teaming with Bradley to win tag team matches against the likes of Koji Kanemoto and Seiki Yoshioka, and Kanemoto and Minoru Tanaka, and finally defeating Bradley in 3 straight singles matches between November 29 and December 1. Terry remained with Wrestle 1 over the new year and in January 2014, began working alongside the Wrestle 1 Seikigun against the heel stable Desperado. On March 2, Terry took part in the Big Kaizen Outbreak event, which featured several wrestlers from TNA, teaming with Keiji Muto and Teriyaki to defeat Samoa Joe and Desperado members Masayuki Kono and Rina Copyright Dupra Copyright in a 6-man tag team match. Post-match, Muto praised Terry, comparing him to a young Hulk Hogan. Terry ended his Wrestle 1 tour and returned to the United States on March 23. In April 2014, Terry made his return to TNA as part of Nux's new Menagerie stable, working under a mask and the ring name The Freak. On the July 3 episode of Impact Wrestling, the Menagerie unsuccessfully challenged the Wolves in a 3-way tag team match for the TNA World Tag Team Championships. The BRO Mans were also included in the match. On January 1, 2015, Terry's profile was moved to TNA Alumni section and The Freak was removed from the Menagerie profile. Independent Circuit On August 9, 2014, Terry made his debut for Britannia Wrestling Promotions, where Terry defeated babyfaced Pitbull to win the PWI, BWP World Catchweight Championship in Prestatyn, Wales, UK. He lost the title later that same day to Mark Morgan. On December 12, 2014 at Rock N' Wrestle Promotion, Rob Terry was defeated by TJ Rage in Inverness, Highland, Scotland, UK. Terry made his first wrestling appearance since leaving TNA at German Wrestling Promotions, where he was defeated by Absolute Andy for the GWP World Championship. Other media: on November 10, 2012, Terry, along with several other TNA workers, was featured in an episode of MTV's Made. Personal life: Terry is married to a woman named Sarah. In wrestling finishing moves: Avalanche hold/running powers Lama Euro 2009 a Euro 2010, 2013 a Euro 2015, Choker Slama Euro 2009 a Euro 2010, 2014 a Euro present, Freakbuster a Euro 2010 a Euro present, Full Nelson Slam a Euro 2009. Signature moves: Fallaway Slam, Jumping Spin Kick, Military Press Slam. Managers: Ric Flair. Wrestlers managed: Nick Nemeth, Doug Williams, Brutus Magnus, Robbie E. Nicknames: Big, The Freak, The Welsh Colossus. Entrance themes: Blow Me Away by Breaking Benjamin, The British Invasion by Dale Oliver, Immortal Theme by Dale Oliver, Big Rob by Dale Oliver, Get Your Fist Pumping in the Air by Dale Oliver, Carnival by Dale Oliver. Championships and accomplishments: Britannia Wrestling Promotions, PWI, BWP World Catchweight Championship. Ohio Valley Wrestling, OVW Heavyweight Championship, OVW Television Championship, OVW Southern Tag Team Championship. Won a Euro with Jesse Godderz and Rudy Switchblade. Nightmare Cup Tag Team Tournament Euro with Marcus Anthony, 8th OVW Triple Crown Champion. Pro Wrestling Illustrated, PWI ranked him number 67 of the top 500 singles wrestlers in the PWI 500 in 2010. Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, TNA Global Championship, Feast or Fired. 1 Terry defended the title with either Godberts or Switchblade under the Freebird rule. References. External links. TNA Profile, OVW Profile, Wrestle1 Profile, Online World of Wrestling Profile, Rob Terry on MySpace, Garrett Profile.